there's no better education than getting out and seeing the world.
The experiences are what you're going to remember in the long run. Getting
out to see the world has just really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
I know a little bit about a lot of random things, and that's because of travel.
We're going to be able to learn so much about some really great destinations.
I'm excited about how this will improve our group itineraries.
I'm really looking forward to having great conversations about places. Welcome to Destination Dispatch.
Hello, I'm Jim Delleman with Group Travel Odyssey. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another episode of Destination Dispatch. Before we get started today on learning everything that there is to learn about Grapevine, Texas, I do want to remind you that if you're watching us on YouTube, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, if you ring that bell right there by the subscribe button, you'll be notified anytime we have new content on our YouTube channel. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn, Group Travel Odyssey, and make sure to like our Group Travel Odyssey Facebook page as well. We have a lot of presence on social media. We keep you up to date on a lot of things. We've got a lot of programming that we do on our YouTube channel as well, so make sure to check all of that out. Well, as I said, we've got another fantastic destination today. And instead of me talking about it, I'm going to bring on some of our experts, and I'm going to bring on our co-hosts. Let's bring on our lead navigator from Group Travel Odyssey, Keith Snowd. Hey,
hello.
Keith. How are you?
Hey, fine. How are you?
I'm good. Long time no see.
Yeah, I know. My gosh. It's what, been 24 hours?
I know. Have you recuperated yet from
I have. I got a good night's sleep and had a great time at CITA, and it was so great to see everybody in person.
Me too. I'm starting to get my voice back, which is good. So I might sound a little bit froggy today, but that's one of the joys about meeting in person again. So we really did have a fantastic time. So it was good. We met a lot of fantastic people. We actually made connections with some really wonderful destinations that we will be featuring on future episodes too. So that was a lot of fun.
Yes, we did. We got lots of good things coming up.
Absolutely. Well, let's bring on our other expert, our other friend and coworker. Let's bring on the host of Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast, Stevie G. Hey, Stevie.
What's up, Jim? What's up, Keith? How are you guys?
Doing well. We were just saying, we're all back and better than ever after our recent visit to Washington, D.C. and CITA. So, and I know I contacted you as well. We've got some fantastic new destinations that we're going to be featuring in the future. So, it's nice to get together face to face and actually have a chance to talk to people. So, and Zoom has been wonderful. All of the social media presence, all of our outreach and stuff has been wonderful, but still nothing can beat that face to face. I really
for sure.
So gentlemen, now Keith, I know you have, because you and I have both been to Grapevine at the same time. Stevie, have you been to Grapevine, Texas?
So on a technicality, yes, I've been to Grapevine, Texas, and I think probably most people watching this have been to Grapevine, Texas as well.
And how is that?
Say again, Jim?
And how is that? What is that?
That is because the airport is actually located in Grapevine, which I'm sure we'll talk about that a little later today. But yes, I haven't been in Grapevine, but I have been to the airport. So on a technicality, to answer your question, yes. How about you guys? You said you both were there, yeah?
Yeah, yes. I've been to several conferences, and we've actually had a chance to see quite a bit of the city and stuff. It's such a wonderful destination. There's so much going on, and Keith and I could tell you all about it, but instead of that, we should bring on somebody else who could probably tell much better and much more eloquently than we could. So
absolutely.
Let's bring on our guest today. She's the Director of Leisure and International Sales with Visit Grapevine and the Grapevine Convention and Visitors Bureau. Bring on Heather Egan. Hey, Heather, how are you?
How are y'all doing?
We're doing well. We were just saying that, Keith and I have been multiple times to Grapevine at several conferences and stuff, and had a chance to see so much of your wonderful city. And Stevie, on a technicality, has actually been to Grapevine.
It doesn't count.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I know. We like to joke that we have about 200,000 guests a day who come to Grapevine, you know, but no, definitely, it's nice to know, you're right there. We're so close. Everything's within 10 minutes of the airport. But you definitely, next time, Stevie, you got to get to downtown Grapevine because you would love our historic Main Street district.
So Jim, you missed it. You missed it earlier when Stevie and I were talking to Heather that she explained to us that the runways aren't in Grapevine, but the actual terminal buildings are.
Aha.
So that's why everybody has to come to Grapevine when they come through Texas, through DFW. So yeah,
exactly. That's wonderful. It also is, and I must say, before we actually dive into Grapevine, it is amazing every time I come there when you get on the transportation from the airport, and within like 5 minutes you're at the Gaylord Convention Center, or you're at the other hotels and stuff. So it is super convenient to be right there. It is really fantastic. But Heather, I want to ask you, what do you think it is that makes Grapevine so great for groups?
Goodness, gosh, there's just so much. It's so hard to really say. A lot of it is just the people and the charm. We're just such a friendly destination. I think everybody feels so welcome and just wants to return and wants to come back. Our historic downtown Grapevine district, there's so much to do right there within 6 blocks, and it's easily walkable. You just feel safe and very comfortable doing so. You've got all these local shops and boutiques, bistros and cafes, galleries. We actually have working artisans, so you can see glass blowing or blacksmithing and tinsmithing, and see artists doing oil painting or watercolors or pottery. And you can visit with the artist or even get your hands dirty and do your own artwork. And then the winery tasting rooms, of course, that's always a very popular attraction here in Grapevine as well. Who's not happy when they're drinking wine? So
exactly.
And a lot of heritage attractions too. Grapevine's a very historic town, and we've managed to hold on to that history. So we still have that historic charm still feels like a small town when you come to Grapevine, even though we're in the middle of this huge metroplex. So
it's one of the things I noticed last time I was there is we were in that historic downtown area, and there is so much history right there in that little downtown area. And we were there right after the holidays, and so it was still decorated, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And like you said, there are tasting rooms and everything else to go along right there. It's such a fantastic gathering place for people too. I mean, there was much more going on there than I ever expected. And, it was a wonderful time. It was a wonderful, wonderful time there.
Well, Grapevine was actually founded to be a gathering place. So we were actually settled 1 year before Texas became a state back in 1844. So, and at that time, it was the president of the Republic of Texas, so Sam Houston, and he held a meeting here in Grapevine with 10 American Indian chiefs and leaders. And they basically proclaimed Grapevine, it was Grapevine Springs at the time, but Grapevine Springs to be a land for peaceful trade and commerce. So that's really how Grapevine got its start, and we just sort of expanded from there.
It's amazing.
So, the history part is very prevalent as I looked through the itinerary and everything, which we'll get to later. But talk to me about, obviously you've got the wine and yes, we can talk about that, but talk to me about some of the other things that groups can do, that groups might be interested in history, or, I noticed you had a model railroad, I think that I saw on the list, and is there a railroading history in Grapevine? I'd love to learn a little bit more about the other things that might interest groups.
Yeah, absolutely. The railroad actually did play a very important part in our history. Grapevine was originally a farming community. So the railroad really came along and helped us to be able to get, cantaloupe and wheat and, cotton and other things to other destinations back in that time. And then eventually became traveling salesmen, and they would stay the night here in Grapevine because we were really the center of kind of that business area here. And so we really try and keep that alive. We like to celebrate our history. So we still operate what we call the Grapevine Vintage Railroad, and we run the Cotton Belt route, which is between Grapevine and the Fort Worth Stockyards. So it's a fun way if you're wanting to get that old Western experience. You can hop aboard our historic train. The train cars are from the 1920s, all Victorian style. They are air conditioned because I know it can be a little warm here in the summers. But yeah, we've got a great experience aboard this vintage train. And then we also do special events on the train as well. So we do wine trains and a craft brew train. And at Christmas time, we do North Pole Express, where kids ride in their pajamas and get to go to the North Pole and return. And then we also, so with the train in that same area, that's where a lot of our artisans are. And across the street, actually our building, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, we have what we call a glockenspiel, or the glockenspiel. And I jokingly call it our Texas cuckoo clock. We have the would-be train robbers, as we call them, and they come out. It's animatronic, but they come out every 2 hours between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. And it's all scripted. You can see it from across the street. But basically, they argue over who's going to rob the train and how they're going to divide the money, and it ends in an old-fashioned shootout. So you get that Texas experience as well. And then we also have a collection of buildings we call Settlement to City Museum. And those buildings kind of help tell the history of Grapevine, how we were founded and how we got to where we are today. There's also a historic school building there, a cotton ginner's house, which talks about, cotton and, the uses for it and how they used to do all that. So that there's an old printing press. You can actually do your own postcards or Christmas cards during the holidays. And then on top of all that, we also have historic Nash Farm, which is the oldest continuously operating farmstead in Tarrant County. And we continue to operate it like a 19th century farm. So everybody's in period clothing. We still take care of the gardens there, or the fields. We have animals on the farm. Every spring, there's baby lambs that you can see. They're so cute. And the farmhouse it's open. So it's not like a velvet rope that you stay behind. They might actually be cooking on the wood burning stove when you're there. So we do a lot of different events there as well. So you can really learn about what it's like to have lived here in the 19th century. And we offer walking tours of the historic district as well. So the way we look at it is when groups come to Grapevine, or individuals or groups, you can just drop them off in the historic district and they're going to enjoy it. I mean, great shops, restaurants, everything. But if we can give them a tour first and tell them about the history, like a lot of people don't know Bonnie and Clyde are from Grapevine. Their hideout was where Lake Grapevine is today. So there are a lot of little things, a lot of little history that we can point out. And I think it just adds to the experience when you're here.
I think that's probably the only glockenspiel I've ever heard of that ends in a shootout.
Yeah. It's funny. We can hear it from our office every day.
You guys have lots of great history, but you guys also have the Grapevine Mills Mall, which can be a really great way for a group to spend some time shopping and exploring. Can you talk more about the Grapevine Mills Mall and some of the things that you can find there?
Absolutely. It's actually the largest outlet mall in North Texas. If you walked the entire thing, you will walk a mile. So there's quite a bit there. Over 180 different shops, restaurants, and attractions. I think the great thing about Grapevine Mills is it's not just shopping. You can also find Legoland Discovery Center, Sea Life Aquarium, Peppa Pig World of Play. For Stranger Things fans, right now they've got an exhibit there that has been extended for Stranger Things. And very exciting news, we are going to get a Meow Wolf in 2023. So they have started on that, and that will be located at Grapevine Mills. So lots of attractions that you can include as well as doing some shopping.
And makes that a destination in itself. It's wonderful. We talked earlier about the kind of the ease to get to Grapevine because you are right there by the airport. But tell us, I know because I've been in several of the hotels around the convention center and to the Gaylord Hotel and stuff as well. But for groups that are traveling in, what does the hotel scene look like?
Excuse me. We have 20 hotels here in Grapevine, and really pretty much every brand is basically is here. So if you're a Hyatt or a Hilton or a Marriott fan, Choice Hotels, you can pretty much find what you're looking for. Everything from select service to the high-end resorts. Gaylord Texan Resort, of course, is probably one of the largest hotels in Texas, if it's not the largest. It's 1,814 rooms, and it's really kind of the best of Texas, all under a glass atrium. So you get to go in there, and it's just amazing. I mean, it's got these replicas of old train stations and a miniature Paladaro Canyon and Mission Plaza and lots of great restaurants. And at Christmas time, of course, it's just amazing. They've got the ice exhibit there, as well as all sorts of other Christmas attractions. But they decorate year-round with different themes. They have their own horticultural theme or horticultural team that goes through and changes out the plants seasonally. And they do a lot of different events there. And then we also have a Great Wolf Lodge, which is great for the student groups with the indoor and outdoor water park. So they do a lot of fun things there, as well as Christmas time. And then downtown Grapevine, Hotel Vin is a Marriott Autograph Collection property. It's right in our historic district, right next to the train station, walking distance to everything downtown has to offer. And so that's a nice little boutique hotel for more of our high-end groups or individuals.
So fantastic.
Yeah, it's a lot of hotel space.
Yeah.
So Heather, what do you think that you've worked? You've been in Grapevine for a number of years in this position, haven't you?
I started here in 2004.
Yeah, I was just say it's been a while. So you have a lot of experience with groups coming to your area. What do you think? What do groups miss the most when they come? Like, what's the thing that they skip that they shouldn't?
Oh my goodness. Excuse me. Definitely, spend a little bit more time in the historic district. Sometimes they just come in for like one night and they want to head out, or they just come in and they just ride the Grapevine Vintage Railroad. So I would schedule, an activity downtown or spend a little bit more time there. The other thing is Nash Farm. I think Nash Farm is one of our hidden gems. First of all, just to go to Nash Farm, it's a complimentary attraction. But for groups, there's really, for just as little as like $15 per person, we can schedule a reception there as well as a tour. So you can, when we do a reception there, it is like hot tea and cookies or the equivalent, maybe it's breakfast, and they serve everything on china. So it's a very nice deal, and they can do period games and activities. You can participate, and they really will curate the activity for you. They'll work with the meeting planner or the group planner and see what kind of activities they want to do, and they will do something for you. So definitely that. And then we have, which is fairly new, Grapevine Main Station. It's our new brand central style train station. And inside there's a food hall, which is great for groups. There's also an observation tower. And so that's fairly new. I try to work that in when I'm working with groups and when I offer a tour for them. But the observation tower, not working through me, it's just $3 per person. And if you do stay the night in Grapevine, we do it complimentary for you. But from there, you can actually see the skylines of both Dallas and Fort Worth on either side of us, as well as all of Grapevine and the airport. And so it's just magnificent views from there.
Wow, that sounds stunning. That's great.
One other thing I'll just add that I think a lot of people don't know about is at Sea Life Aquarium, they do a behind the scenes tour. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. So you can set that up, and an aquarist will take you behind the scenes, talk about the diets for the different sharks. And they can tell them all apart. But the other thing that's kind of unique about our Sea Life Aquarium, being Texas is a big sea turtle, the South Padre Island, the sea turtles lay their eggs there and, tend to, grow up there. And so when a sea turtle gets injured or sick, they'll bring the sea turtle up to our Sea Life here in Grapevine, and it's where we nurse it back to health. And then when ready, we'll take them back to South Padre Island and release it. And so the behind the scenes tours gives you a chance to learn a little bit more about that. So
that's great.
It's a very unique experience. One more thing I want to ask before we go to a break here is we kind of talked through one of my favorite subjects a little bit, food, but I want to ask you maybe a little bit more about it. What kind of food, like I know there's got to be some great barbecue in your area. Can you talk a little bit about the food and some of the options that groups have when they come to Grapevine?
Oh, absolutely. For starters, I would highly recommend booking a food tour with Grapevine Food Tour. Very simple to remember, Grapevine Food Tour. And that tour, just to give you an idea of some of the unique things we have to offer. First of all, they have 5 different tours they offer, but their general food tour starts off at Esparza's Mexican restaurant, which is, Tex-Mex. We love our Tex-Mex down here. You get a fried avocado and a margarita, because we also love our margaritas in Texas. And then you go to one of our wineries where you get to do a wine tasting. And then Grapevine Olive Oil Company, which is right here, has over 100 different olive oils and balsamic vinegars. So you get to do a tasting there. And then you go to Farina's Winery and Cafe, where you get a spaghetti pizza. So it's another Grapevine kind of traditional food here, popular food, and sangria. And then you end at one of our 3 chocolatiers. So that is I highly recommend taking part in that tour. It also includes your own guide. It's a walking tour, and they talk about the history of Grapevine. It's about a 3-hour tour, so it's a really fun way to discover. And then when it comes to groups, they can schedule that anytime. It doesn't have to be the set time. They can work with your schedule. And it's not a problem to have a group of 40, 50 people. So definitely that. Of course, we have our barbecue. We love barbecue. Something that we created, the past couple of years is actually a dining and entertainment package for groups. And we have several venues that we actually operate. The Lancaster Theater on Main Street. My beautiful building here has a grand hall. And then new Grapevine Main Station has a 2nd floor room. And we can book one of those rooms for your dinner, group dinner. And we can provide the catering. And we either work with a Tex-Mex barbecue, or we can do something more traditional. And we'll also book entertainment for you. And we can do anything from one singer and a guitar up to a 5-piece band. So we have different levels that we can work out, and gives you a chance to experience some of that cuisine, local cuisine, as well as some entertainment.
I have to back the food truck up here for a minute. Because, you said fried avocado.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's like a fried avocado. They cut it in half and they put chicken in it, baked or roasted chicken, and then close it back up and fry it up. And oh my gosh, it's really good.
Wow. Okay. Well, that sounds
Next
amazing.
visit, Keith.
Okay.
Well, that's that. Heather, thank you so much for all of that information. We're going to continue the conversation and learn even more about Grapevine after we hear a few words about our partners. Stevie.
Group Travel Odyssey would like to take a moment to thank our amazing partners, including Book My Group, Travel Advocates, We Travel, Broadway Inbound, and Fly My Group. These partnerships help make business without boundaries possible, and we encourage our viewers to learn more about these wonderful companies. Now, back to Destination Dispatch.
Okay, so we are back, and we're going to hear even more about Grapevine, Texas. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn things over to Keith and Heather, and they're going to take us through a sample itinerary and show us even more for your groups to do when they come into Grapevine.
Great. And just want to remind all of our GTO members and our future GTO members that are out there watching us today that you can access these itineraries in your Sales Manager app and also your Supplier Manager app. So if you go into Supplier Manager, it's under Visit Grapevine, and you can see under the attachments this information. If you go to the Sales Manager app, click the Trip Templates button, search for Grapevine, Texas, and you will see these. You can actually use them in that app by simply copying them to your trip, and everything is already loaded for you. So it makes it super easy to use all of this information in less than 5 minutes. So I'm going to let you, Heather, talk us through this itinerary and share some of the things, because there's some things on here that we haven't even talked about yet. So let's start on day one.
I know. I keep thinking, gosh, there's so much I still haven't told y'all about. But that's how it always is here. But so this itinerary, honestly, this is kind of a basic, almost bare bones itinerary. I like to say that I like to use this as a starting itinerary. And then when I work with group tours, I have kind of add-ons. I kind of give you a list of here are some attractions and additional activities that you can add in. But this is sort of a basic starter itinerary, which works, great to at least give you the idea about everything Grapevine has to offer. For starters, groups that do stay in Grapevine, we offer a complimentary guided tour of Main Street. And depending on the group's comfort level, we can either walk Main Street or I can hop on the bus. Of course, when I hop on the bus, it's like a tennis match. It's over here, over here, over here. You're trying to get everything in, but we try to get the bus driver to drive slow, put the flashers on. But we do offer a historic guided tour of Main Street. So like I said, we want to give you that history. We want to let you know how Grapevine was founded, how we got our name. And just in case you're wondering, it's because when the first settlers came here, the land was covered with grapevines. So that's how we got the name Grapevine. So a lot of things, how we got the wineries here, there's a lot of history there, plus just pointing out all the unique places to visit while you're here. Of course, as I mentioned, the glockenspiel or visiting the art galleries, we always try to include that in our tour. They tend to be they are all over the Main Street area, but we have a cluster of working artisans at District there. And I usually try and pop into Vetro Glassblowing Studio because their glass blowers are almost always working in the studio. And they're always happy to kind of share what they're doing or what they're working on. They work on huge projects all over the world. So you can look at the gallery, but you can also hop into the studio and just see what's going on there. And that's complimentary. So we set that up we try and do that every time just to kind of pop in and say hello. And of course, trying to time it out so that you can see the glockenspiel because you got to see the gunfight. I mean, kind of a unique thing to, how often are you going to see that going on Main Street? So we check that out. And then ending at Grapevine Main Station is always a great option because groups can actually pre-purchase meal cards. So then you can just hand out a meal card to everybody in the group. And there's a collection of, at the food hall, there's 7 different international kitchens they can choose from. So everybody can get what they want, enjoy it there. And then of course do the observation tower. So you can kind of get the feel of where you're at. So I don't think a lot of people when they get to Grapevine realize you're really in the center of the Metroplex. So it gives you a good bearings for, okay, Dallas is this way on the east and Fort Worth is over here on the west. And if you're looking really hard, you can see AT&T Stadium and a few other things. So it's really kind of a unique thing to do.
And Heather, because I know that we have some student tour operators on here, are there performance opportunities for a group at Main Station?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you asked that. So we actually, the Grapevine CVB, we manage the plaza that's in front of Grapevine Main Station. There's we call it Peace Plaza, and there is a built-in area for entertainment, and we're always looking to put different performances, and we would love to work with more student groups and performance groups and have them there. A lot of people, there's a fountain outside. They love to take their meals out there or hang out outside. But there's also performance opportunities with our festivals too. So we could definitely come back and talk about that. Our Main Street Fest and Grape Fest. And basically any time of year we can find a way to work with student groups. So
great.
Let me know. So moving on to day 2, we started this day off with a visit to Settlement to City. That is where we'll have some of our period costumed employees or workers will be there to talk about the history of Grapevine, to talk about cotton ginning, to talk about what it was like going to school back in those days. And for groups, we like to set it up to where you can make your own postcard as well on the 19th century printing press. So we'll have that all operating as well. And then scheduling an old-fashioned social or an arts and craft activity, something over at Historic Nash Farm. So you're continuing that 19th century experience. And then lunch, plenty of opportunities for lunch. Will Hoyt's Restaurant is a very popular location for groups here in Grapevine. It's right on Main Street. It used to be a filling station. I joke that it's still a filling station. You'll see the original gas pump out front. And they have an expansive buffet on the inside that has a Model T Ford hanging over it, up on the hydraulic lift. So it's great for groups. They've got special rooms where they can put the groups. And with the buffet, I think lunch is something like $12 all inclusive per person.
Wow.
So very affordable. Plus there's just a lot of history there. So, but then we have a lot of other great restaurants we can include as well. So, and then definitely make some time for shopping, just to let everybody loose, let them explore, let them, if they want to go to the winery tasting rooms on their own, or if they want to, just get coffee, or if they want to buy some gifts, because they're all unique gift shops down here. So I think it's fun to have a little time to explore. For the Grapevine Urban Wine Trail, definitely try to schedule a wine tasting if you can. So either as a group, I can give you recommendations on the wineries that are large enough or can handle groups, or just give everybody enough time to do that on their own. We can provide everybody with a map of the historic district that'll list the restaurants, the shops, and the wineries, so everyone can find where they're wanting to go as they're kind of enjoying that or exploring Main Street. So those are some things that definitely you want to get in. And then for dinner, if it's a Friday or Saturday night, I highly recommend doing the Texas Star Dinner Theater. It is a hilarious whodunit murder mystery. They do, it's a 3-course meal. It is an interactive theater. So the theater is all around you taking place. And when you have a group of 40, somebody in your group is going to get picked on, and that's just going to provide you with jokes for the rest of the week. So, so it's a lot of fun. It's again, we're a very, as you can tell, historic town. So the whole production takes place in the 19th century, kind of a Western experience, but it's hilarious. The cast is so good. You'll definitely enjoy it. So I recommend that. And then, of course, there's other opportunities as well for dinner. We have Grapevine wine tours that could do a whole wine tour experience and include dinner. We have a night watchman ghost tour, which is a walking tour of Main Street and kind of highlights the history and some of the ghost stories. So that's an option. And then I also mentioned the dinner and entertainment package earlier as well. So we definitely have you taken care of in the evening.
That's great. I love that with the dinner theater, that can cover one evening. And then, you could even probably go to Main Station and do a ghost tour afterwards for a second evening. And
absolutely.
And then do your dinner and entertainment package on the third evening. Boy, look at all the things you could spend a whole week here. So this is great.
Oh, absolutely. The other thing I love to point out just about evenings in Grapevine. So 6 nights a week, you're going to find complimentary live music up and down Main Street in the different restaurants. So I sometimes recommend for groups too, that if your group's comfortable with it, just give them some free time and let them choose what restaurant they want, because there's plenty of restaurants for them to select from, all sorts of different internationalities. They can choose their restaurant and then give them time. They can go enjoy live music at the different restaurants. So, and Grapevine Main Station is a great one. They've always got stuff going on. So
that's wonderful. Yeah. So on to day 3 we go.
Yeah. So day 3, we have our own botanical garden here. It's a complimentary attraction. But if you're looking for things, trying to keep the itinerary a little more affordable, so that's kind of how I started this off, that is a great option. The Grapevine Garden Club is happy to provide you with a guide and walk everybody through the gardens to talk about it. You could even arrange to have lunch there if you wanted to. And there's Will Hoyt's, which I already talked about, but Grapevine's original filling station at Will Hoyt's, or any of the other restaurants. Farina's Winery and Cafe, where I mentioned the spaghetti pizza, that's another great option. And this is also another great day. It's not on that itinerary, but the Grapevine Food Tour, that typically takes place from 10:45 a.m. till 2. That's their normal time. But as I mentioned, they can schedule it whenever. So that might be another possibility that you'll want to do for that day and for lunch. Now, if you wanted to, of course, the train, you wouldn't be able to do the food tour with the train. The Grapevine Vintage Railroad runs on Saturdays and Sundays, and it departs you board at 12:30 and it departs around 1. So you would do lunch first and then board the train and then head over to the stockyards, where you get some free time over there to explore the different Western shops, museums, and saloons. But don't miss the cattle drive, which I believe is at 4 o'clock. So 4 p.m. that afternoon, you get to see the live cattle drive. and then you hop back on the train to return to Grapevine. Pardon my cough. And then, of course, that evening, we already talked about all the many options for evening entertainment, dining, lots of great things that you can enjoy.
Yeah, I want to say that the one thing I'm super impressed about is the value for the travel dollar in Grapevine seems to be really high. And given where we are with the economy and people wanting to get out and about and do things, and some people, not everybody can spend lavishly on a trip, and I know that those options exist here because of all the other things, but it seems like you have a really wide spectrum of budget opportunities to fill an entire itinerary with Grapevine, and that's super impressive, especially from a group standpoint, to have that wide of a variety of there's free attractions and free things to do and meals that are reasonably priced, things like that. But there's also the high end things you can look at as well. So that's really neat.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
it's the most budget. It's almost like the most budget friendly destination in the country.
Well, on this itinerary, I tried to start it off budget friendly because we can always add in, or we can always kind of replace. We can always say, okay, you want to do the Grapevine wine tour or the Grapevine food tour, you can add that in here, or we can do this here. So, but at least this is kind of a good start for those who are looking for a budget friendly.
Yeah, it's really fantastic. Yeah.
And then day 4 is for those shoppers. So you really want to get that time in, Grapevine Mills, or maybe schedule a visit to Sea Life Aquarium or the behind the scenes tour that I talked about earlier. But yeah, it's definitely, especially my international visitors, they really want to get to Grapevine Mills. We have tax-free shopping for international. So that is a must. They have to hit that before we leave. And then our Bass Pro Shop is the second largest Bass Pro. And gosh, I feel they have the largest collection of taxidermy animals, I guess, the largest collection. I guess there's a list of this, it's like every single animal possible, I think, is in there. So
wow.
All sorts of activities, and they could even schedule, if you wanted to, like fly fishing lessons or archery, or there's a lot of other things that they can do as well for groups. So.
Well, I appreciate you going through the itinerary. I want to take a quick glance so that everyone can see, because we didn't even touch on this informational piece is just wonderful for Grapevine, and it if you can't find it on here, it probably doesn't exist. But there's a whole page about the events calendar, including Grape Fest, which is coming up here very soon. Really some great opportunities on here. There's information on hotels and group tour services and just some excellent imagery. So I just wanted to share this real quick with everybody so that you can see how extensive this piece is. And it is saved in GTO, so you can find it in Supplier Manager so that you can look at it and share. There's the Vintage Texas itinerary, and then Christmas, which we haven't even talked about,
I know.
which is Grapevine is the Christmas capital of Texas, which Jim mentioned a little bit when he talked earlier. But there's a whole itinerary around Christmas and all these Christmas activities, which is just amazing. So I encourage everybody to take a look at this if you're interested in Grapevine, and it really gives you a lot of options to build a wonderful itinerary. So,
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
And, Heather, Keith brought up briefly about the events and the festivals and the things that happen in Grapevine. And with everything that there is to offer, Grapevine is definitely a year-round destination for people to visit. Why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit more about some of the events and festivals that happen year-round there in Grapevine?
Oh my goodness. We have our own festivals team here at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So that kind of gives you an idea. We're also an international festival events city. We have received an award for all of the festivals that we do. So there's a lot of stuff happening. Obviously, as a wine destination, we do a lot of wine-related events. We actually have 4 wine trails a year, including every April. We have our new vintage wine and gallery trail, which kind of kicks off the wine season, kicks off our new vintages for the year. So that's always a lot of fun. May is our Main Street Fest, which is our craft brew festival for those who are wanting the craft brews. We have a lot of live entertainment. We close down Main Street, arts and crafts vendors, craft brews, of course, wine. We're always going to have the wine. So that's always a fun 3-day festival. And then the big one that is coming up just a couple weeks is Grape Fest. It's the largest wine festival in the Southwest United States. Over 4 days, we expect about 265,000 visitors. Wow. So really good time. At that festival, we have we have a People's Choice Pavilion where people can go and vote on their favorite Texas wines. Of course, we have multiple wine pavilions for Grapevine and Texas wines. We have an international wine pavilion where you can try, it's actually the Gaylord Wine Pavilion. Every year we have a domestic destination and an international destination. And this year we have Sonoma wines and we have Sicily wines. So you can go and taste those wines and kind of choose your favorites there. We have a Champagne Terrace, one of my favorite places to go because I love the bubbles. We have a Champagne Cork-Off. We have a Grape Stomp, 4 stages of live music, arts and crafts vendors, a carnival. So all sorts of activities that go on during Grape Fest. It's so much fun. And then really the next big one is Christmas Capital of Texas. We have over 1,400 events in 40 days. And it just keeps growing. It's amazing. I'm sure we're over that by now, but we have the ice exhibit at the Gaylord Texan, which this year will be the Polar Express. We have our historic Main Street district it looks like a Hallmark movie. It is all decked out with the holiday lights, Christmas music playing. The shops all go all out. We'll have an ice skating rink on Peace Plaza. So all sorts of activities there. We have the North Pole Express on the train, as well as Christmas wine trains. We have a hometown Christmas exhibit, which really is very nostalgic, kind of reminds you of Christmas when you were a kid. You can walk through and take pictures and very Instagrammable type of things. Lots of live Christmas entertainment, including the Texas Tenors. We're always excited to have them come back for Christmas, as well as all sorts of other different Christmas shows. We do a Christmas drone show. I know I'm forgetting to mention stuff because there's so much that goes on at Christmas time here.
I don't know when you rest.
I know. It is so much. Christmas is such a fun time here. It's kind of it's a cross between a Norman Rockwell painting and a Hallmark movie. I mean, it's an amazing time to be in Grapevine.
Well, with you hosting ABA last year, I can't imagine that you had a moment's peace for the last 12 months of your life. So you're probably looking forward to vacation at the end of this year, I would think.
It goes by quick. It's a lot of fun. We love welcoming everybody to Grapevine. Nothing really makes you feel better than making a great experience for other people. So
that's great.
Well, and you said earlier about how friendly everybody is and how welcoming they are, and that could not be more true. I mean, whenever we come, everybody from the time we arrive at the airport, our drivers, everybody else that we come in contact with is always so welcoming, and they're always so happy to have you coming and visiting. And it's really nice to come to a destination where people are truly happy to have you there. And it's a really great feeling for a traveler when they get to go someplace and they actually feel like people are happy to see them. So, you guys do such a fantastic job with that there.
Thank you. Hospitality is our number one industry here in Grapevine. And I think all the way from our citizens to the people who work here, there's just a huge sense of pride to be part of Grapevine. Matter of fact, on top of our building where I work is a flying unicorn. It's a bronze sculpture. It's a flying unicorn. We call it Imagine. And if you happen to be downtown, there's a wonderful poem about Imagine. But basically, Imagine is the symbol of our hospitality industry here in Grapevine. And basically, it comes down to, a flying unicorn is kind of the symbol of dreams. And we like to believe that we make dreams come true here in Grapevine. So,
well, you do a fine job of it. Heather,
yes.
Heather, if people want to reach out and get even more information from you, if they want to contact you, how can they do so?
Yeah, absolutely. You can either call me at 817-410-3561 or email me at hegan@grapevinetexasusa.com, which you see right there on the screen, I believe.
That's fantastic. Well, we can't thank you enough for joining us today and giving us all of this fantastic information about a place that I've traveled to and loved, and not even just for the wine. I mean, all the experiences there. So, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you so much for sharing everything that Grapevine has to offer. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all for having me. It was fun.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Well, just a reminder that Destination Dispatch does happen on Thursdays at 2 p.m. And we do feature destinations that are group friendly, and they have fantastic opportunities and experiences for your groups. If you missed some of our Destination Dispatch episodes, you can watch them on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is a great archive for our Destination Dispatch episodes, as well as our GTO Coach and Go episodes. We also do a program called GTO Coach and Go that's on Tuesdays at 2 p.m., where we bring on some of the experts from our own team to take you through new features, updated features, processes within the GTO system. So make sure to go and subscribe to that YouTube channel so that way you can be updated anytime we do have new content, and you also then have access to the archive of all of our previous episodes as well. Keith, if they want more information about GTO, what can they do?
They can email any of us. You've got Jim at gtonetwork.com, Keith at gtonetwork.com. I think it's Steven at gtonetwork.com, if I did that right. And or you can go to grouptravelodyssey.com and learn more about us. There's plenty of information there, including a video that'll explain the top 10 reasons why you should join GTO. And we'd love to have you look at us and give us a chance to show you a demo and join our community.
Fantastic. And Stevie, how can we find out more about Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast?
Sure. Destinations Beyond Expectations is the podcast designed for students of travel. You can check out the website, dbetravel.com, or you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are available. There's new episodes every Friday, and this Friday, the topic that we're going over is actually Yadkin Valley, North Carolina. Keith, Jim, are you familiar with Yadkin Valley, North Carolina?
I am not.
So, okay, this is pretty cool. It is actually, Jim, you would love this destination. It's known as the wine capital of North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Big wine region there. And then there's a cool connection to Andy Griffith. Did you guys ever watch the Andy Griffith show, or is that before your time, maybe?
We watched it in reruns.
We watched it in reruns, so it was before our time, but we saw plenty of episodes, trust me.
So the town of Mount Airy is actually that's Andy Griffith's hometown, and that's what they modeled the town of Mayberry after. So you can actually visit that town in the Yadkin Valley, North Carolina. So it's a very cool episode, and you can catch it tomorrow. It'll drop tomorrow. So dbetravel.com, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Well, I'll look for it tomorrow, definitely.
The real question to you, Stevie, is on your podcast, you're going to do the theme song to the Andy Griffith Show, because all of us probably can sing it.
I have no idea.
Not quite sing it.
Sing it. That's true. Not quite sing it.
And that's all I'm saying. So you have to look it up now, Stevie.
Yes.
Okay. That, Max Headroom, we got a whole list of things going on that I have to look at. So.
We always give you research for after we're done. I love it.
I'm walking away with more homework than I had going in.
Oh gosh. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining today. It's, as I say, I always love spending Thursdays with you guys. And we have some more fantastic destinations coming up in the near future. So make sure you tune back in. And until then, have a fantastic week.
Thank you for watching this episode of Destination Dispatch. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and be sure to check out more of our media, including GTO Coach and Go and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.